I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street. Hey guys, this episode is Steven Krueger. I met him through another podcast, and he was nice enough to let me come to his house and talk to him for a bit. And, well, I think you'll like this guy. So without further ado, Steven Krueger.
Yeah, talk to me,
Check, check. The check is in the mail. Where's my check? Someone owes me money and I'm looking for a check. Check.
Hi, Steve Krueger.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for the beer.
Cheers. Happy Friday.
Cheers. This is a Carbach, you said?
Love Street Carbach, made in Houston, America.
God, I love America.
As we're saying, I love Houston. I didn't know. It's cosmopolitan. I think it's like the most culturally diverse city in America because of the oil boom.
It might be.
But someone told me that.
My wife, part of what she does, she has a hospital that's it's in Houston. It's right next door to the Astrodome. And so I've been to Houston a bunch, having lived here my whole life. And recently, last year going up to visit her, there's a lot more, I would say, like East African people than I thought there would be. There's a lot of like Indian or...
That's not in Africa.
No. That too.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, like, there's a lot of... Thank you for that.
That's all right. I was doing the geography in my
I
head.
appreciate that.
That's all right, yeah.
No, but like, there's a lot of people from...
Central Asia?
Well, yes.
Asia Minor.
Asia.
It's
Major. It's Asia Major.
It reminds me of Los Angeles a little bit, and there's little communities. It's so big and sprawling. There's little pockets. There is like a Ethiopia town. There's like a Thai area. There's a Vietnamese area. There's a Chinatown that's really big. And I just like stopped through there on the way to New Orleans. And it's the Chinese.
This was recently?
A couple times. I went to go see some music there because I just needed to get out of Austin, and the gentleman wasn't playing in Austin. Thought it was the live music capital of the world, but this guy decided to skip Austin.
I think music is in quotes sometimes. There's a lot of people playing instruments here. I don't know if all of it qualifies as music.
It's music, but it's one kind of music that you
what
can
kind
get.
is that?
Like jangly, country-ish,
Rockabilly?
Townes Van Zandt kind of
Okay.
doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle. Like, yeah, okay. And there's a guy playing a washboard, and
Sure.
they're playing, yes, at laundromats and gas stations and every fucking bar everywhere. But it's not a lot of variety. So if you like that kind of music, get your ass down here, because
Otherwise, get to Nashville.
I went to go see some jazz, and I was like, oh yeah, they don't really have jazz here in Austin. I mean, like little pockets of it, but I spent the night in Houston, and I went to a great museum, and there's really good food. I had excellent sushi. Like the
food in Houston is pretty fucking
pretty
awesome.
bananas, yeah. So, and it's I've been here.
Did your wife go with you?
Yes. A little under 2 years, and it's a small city, and I'm used to Los Angeles, which is huge, and
Austin is pretty small.
yeah, and it's
I mean, traffic sucks ass here,
it's
but you're from LA where traffic is just standing still for hours.
yeah, and traffic in Beijing is like I went back to LA, like I'm never gonna complain because that was
Really?
unbelievable. Yeah, it's a lot of traffic, but it's a small city. Like you run through all the things, and you're like, oh, I've done it all. Where else is there? Like it doesn't. Once you leave the city limits, it's just nothing. Right. It's just Texas.
There's a whole lot of small nothing towns surrounding Austin.
Yeah, and if you love that, you can go out and go to a ranch or a creek or shoot guns or whatever people do in Texas. But
Crick.
Am I saying that correctly?
Sure.
Sure.
While
okay.
you're here, yeah.
But I guess I like big cities because I got to Houston and people were like, oh, you're going to hate it. And I loved it.
Well, I mean, you're from Boston. You lived in LA for tons of years.
18 years.
And so, I mean, you're a city boy, man.
I guess.
I get that.
Also, Austin's really white.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, not the particular path that I just came, because I didn't come from any highways, because I live not in San Antonio, but in Bernie, which is San Antonio adjacent.
Okay.
So it took me through all these weird ass, farm to market highways and all this weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
And for about the last 20 minutes of my trip, I didn't even know there was that much of a ghetto in Austin. I was surprised at how many Hispanic people. I'm from San Antonio,
right,
where everybody's Hispanic.
Yes.
And all the times that I've been to Austin, all I see is white people and homeless people.
Mm-hmm. Usually, and white homeless people.
Right, white homeless, mostly white homeless with dreads. And I was just surprised at all of the Hispanic signs and stores and everything.
Yeah, East Austin is like, I guess when they started Austin and they needed minorities to do the work we wouldn't do, they kind of pushed them to the bottom of East Austin, which is Cesar Chavez, and African Americans are up here by Martin Luther King Boulevard's right over there. And so the projects are all over here. And I guess like 6-7 years ago, as this town boomed, people were like, great, there's cheap homes over here. I saw this happen in Los Angeles over many neighborhoods that were gang-ridden in the 70s and 80s. And then usually it's the gays who move.
Like Silver Lake?
That's where I lived, in Silver Lake. Like they moved and they're like, great, I get a house for nothing. And
I can fix it up.
5 years
make it look awesome.
Gunshots and gang graffiti. But I have a long plan, and now I can't afford Silver Lake. Like it's where all the stars live now. So this neighborhood is in the sort of midst of that. Like there's construction everywhere.
God damn, everywhere.
Yeah.
It's all over Texas. When you drove to New Orleans, were you just like, what recession?
Are we in a recession? I'm not an economist.
I've been hearing that for 25 years.
I think they just say that so you don't get comfortable.
All right, cool. Well, it's working.
I didn't notice the construction in Texas. I noticed that as soon as you get close to the border of Louisiana, they let you know that gambling is just a few miles away. And I remember landing here in Texas, and the first week I was on Yelp, like, where are the casinos? Because my wife is a very good poker player, and I'm an okay poker player. And I assume, since this is Texas unregulated, unfettered capitalism, and the game is called Texas Hold'em, there's no casinos in this giant state.
So you were expecting Tombstone, which I know wasn't in Texas, but that's what you were expecting?
You know what? I didn't even know. Is it in Oklahoma?
It's in Arizona.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, I just can't
so
believe.
You're expecting the Wild Wild West when you got
I just expected that they would have casinos, like at least Indian casinos, like
we got,
they are in
we
California.
got the lottery. Does that count?
No, not really. So as you get closer to Louisiana, they're like, just keep driving. It's a couple 2-3 hours, and then it's just casinos as you get over the border.
They're everywhere over there.
Yeah, I don't see. When I grew up in Massachusetts, which is a tiny little state, they stopped selling liquor at 11 on every night. Actually, they didn't sell liquor at all on Sunday, and so at 11 you could not buy beer, wine, hard liquor
in a retail store
anywhere.
Not
the
even
whole
bars?
state.
No bars.
No bars were open till 2, but this is
Okay.
like high school. Like get a guy to buy us beer.
Right, gotcha.
And or you're at a party. This is pre-college, and so what we would do is that at 5 to 11 we go, shit, we need more beer. We get in a car. We drive 20 minutes to New Hampshire because Massachusetts is so tiny, and New Hampshire is 20 minutes from Boston.
Okay.
And as soon as you cross the border, what did you see? A giant state liquor store, because they had different laws.
Right. It's all run by the state, right?
Right. So, I mean, literally at the border. Like, you don't have to drive an hour into...
Because they know what's up.
Yeah. So what did Massachusetts do? They said, well, if you drive within 10 minutes of the New Hampshire border, you can sell liquor after 11. Like, they changed the laws so you only have to drunk drive for 10 minutes rather than 20 minutes and spend your money here in Massachusetts.
Good old tax dollars.
I figure Texas taxes
Would do the same thing.
would say, look, if you're an hour from one of our borders, because I know they have casinos in Oklahoma, they advertise them here. That's got to be like 5 hours to drive.
It's a piece.
Yeah, or more.
But it is.
Whatever the Choctaw Casino and
Right. Well, from San Antonio to Dallas with no traffic is 5 hours.
oh, then it's like 8 hours of driving
Right.
to go to a casino in Oklahoma. Like I would think they would, yeah, exactly. They would like, all right, well, if you've driven out of the main cities where are the churches and the good Christian folk of Texas are no longer, yeah, you can have a casino. I don't. This podcast is about casinos, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
That's correct.
Did my research.
Right. It's casinos in Texas specifically.
Very-
So it's gonna be a short podcast.
It's a niche.
Yeah, Texas is weird. Even like with fireworks, like you can't. Well, I don't know about Austin, but like in San Antonio, you can't shoot off firecrackers inside city limits.
Mm-hmm.
And so right outside of the city limits are all the fireworks stands, and then the police like to just wait just inside the city limits and then pull you over for even having fireworks. But guns are legal.
Well, thank yeah. I also find that really strange.
Gun thing?
No, about me, because when I was in Los Angeles, I became a gun nut. It's like 15 years ago.
They have ranges and shit.
Yeah. I went to a range a long time ago as like a joke with like a movie grip dude I knew. He was going to get a part for his car, and next door was a range. And I was like, they'll just let us shoot guns? I'm such a masshole,
Sure.
like, they just give you a gun? You have to take a class? They're like, no. And a gangbanger with like a big neck tattoo that said, Compton on his neck, just handed me a gun.
He's the guy running the show?
He's running the show.
Sure.
He is my, he's the gun sommelier.
Sure.
And so I went and shot a gun, and I found out really quick, they don't like humor in a gun range. I came in, I'm like, hey, gun went off, and
They're very serious.
I put a round in a dude's leg. And the guy looked at me like, really? I'm like, no, of course I did. And then we started going to this range in downtown Los Angeles, which was frequented by cops.
Sure.
Because they have to shoot guns.
Sure, why not?
And gang guys.
Wait, whoa. Oh, yeah, LA.
Like
they need more practice in LA.
yeah, or security, like cops giving lessons to security. I don't know, there was always cops on one side of the range, and the other side of the range were like Russian mob dudes shooting kind of sideways like they're in a movie.
Like, are they young, like kids?
Yeah, like Metallica baseball shirt and shooting sideways and
Sure.
shooting a shotgun point blank range.
Sure.
And 5-6 years go by, and this place is like booked on a Friday night. It's all millennials and Gen Xers and Gen Zers all going shooting guns. It got to the point where I'm like, it's an hour wait to shoot, guns. So I got into skeet. So I had a friend who had a shotgun, and we'd go.
Some property?
No, there was a skeet range that we would go to,
okay.
skeet and trap. And I loved it. And of course, my wife, she's super competitive. She's like, I want to go. And then she started taking lessons. And so we were, like, I would shoot a gun once a month, which, like a Jew writer nerd from LA, I'm in a small percentage. And I have never shot a gun since I came to Texas.
Really?
I don't know why.
That's weird. You can just walk down the street and shoot into the air.
Yeah, like I figure, like, can you go to a convenience store and just buy I want one shot? like a disposable gun, like one of those old cameras. Yeah, I just need to go shoot a dude in the leg.
That'd be fantastic.
I've never shot a gun here.
Yeah, burner guns. That's what we need.
Yeah, burner gun. Yeah, just one use.
I think that you're onto something.
Wait, delete that part out. I want to keep that for my.
Take that out. Copyright Steven Krueger.
I have driven by a guy with one of those signs waving around, like the do your taxes here sign waivers.
Sure, yeah.
And he's like, AR-15, $399, which I looked up. That's a pretty good price for an AR-15. This, of course, was like days after a massacre somewhere with an AR-15. Like, you might want to keep this, maybe you should stay home today, sign guy, but yeah, I don't know why I've not shot a gun in Texas.
Well, so your wife was super competitive into this gun thing. How come is she shooting guns behind your back?
No, I don't. I have not put my finger on it. I just think it's kind of novelty in Southern California. It's like when I tell people, they go, "You shoot guns?" Like, yeah, I shoot SIG 1911s, I shoot 45s, I shoot a 50 caliber. I got a.
You shot a 50 caliber?
Yeah, that was dumb. Just because I wanted to shoot it.
Sure, why not?
It's for shooting bears, right?
Yeah, it's for shooting something pretty fucking big.
Well, it's like a last resort. Like I shot it, and it's the barrel is like 13 inches long, and it almost shattered my hand when I fired it, and I couldn't hit anything. I'm a pretty good shot with a handgun, because I've been doing it for like 10 years, and I couldn't hit anything. And I asked the guy behind the counter, like, "What is this for? What are the practical real-world applications?"
So did this gun belong to the range?
Yeah. I don't own a gun. I'm not a gun nut. I like to go to a range. Where in California you have to go with someone.
What?
Yeah, because I guess somebody
You can't just go by yourself?
went by himself and killed himself, and then California decided to change the law or make a law or whatever, so you have to go with someone, as I guess you watch your friend kill himself, so your day is ruined as well. I don't know. Look it up, that's real.
California's weird, man. Y'all have weird laws. Just one asshole killed himself at a gun range?
I think so, yeah, because I wanted to shoot alone. They said you can shoot with if I own a gun, I can go into a range, but to rent a gun, I have to go with someone, which just, is it like, I'm going to be...
weird.
Am I going to be thwarted from murdering myself because I got Joe with me, who he's all he's going to do is watch me blow my brains out, and then be
Or
like,
you could just go buy a gun.
well,
Then you don't need a friend, right?
it's just one more step. And I think it's like a 10-day waiting period in California. And if like I need to kill myself today,
Yeah, that.
you got to call,
Okay,
hey,
so-
Joe, what are you doing later? Let's go shoot. And then,
So if you're going to kill yourself, you're just going to follow all the rules. You're like, going to have to wait 10 days. No, you'll go buy a fucking gun off
off Craigslist.
off a gangbanger and...
Right,
can
but
do
you
your deal.
want something that backfires in your hand. And,
No. All the gangbangers, the guns they sell, they've already killed somebody, so you know they work.
Anyway, why are we talking about guns?
Because we're in Texas. That's
Oh,
what
right.
we do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not a novelty here. It's almost like you guys are a little too into guns. Just relax. They every restaurant and bar in Austin has this 51% sign that I had to finally ask, like, what does this mean? And they're like, we sell a certain amount of booze and liquor, and we can deny the open carry law. So we have to put this placard up because they don't want people walking into bars with guns.
So that they deny the open carry, but
Yes.
concealed is fine.
I don't know. I guess.
Isn't that weird?
I don't like guns. I'm not pro guns.
I don't like guns.
They're fun to shoot.
So you do like guns.
Well,
You're
like
just not pro gun.
as a
You just don't think any random asshole should be able to have a gun.
I just remember at this range in downtown Los Angeles, I shot an it was the Russian version of our 30-06. It was a gun that was used in the Russian Revolution. It's a single bolt action shotgun.
Is it a Kalashnikov? No.
I can see it up on the wall. I can't think of the name of it, but it was used by the Russians in the Russian Revolution. It's a very well-made gun, and it was funneled into
It's bolt action, you said?
single bolt action.
So
you
is
know,
it
one
is
bullet?
it the one that Lee Harvey used? Just up the street?
Probably.
I think he used the Russian one.
Well, it was definitely used in Vietnam. Like
Okay.
this was the gun that Tom Cruise's character got shot in Born on the 4th of July. This was funneled from communist Russia to Vietnam because they were cheap, guns that they were plentiful. And the bullet's like this big, and it makes the loudest sound. It makes your teeth rattle, and it is super accurate. I could hit bullseyes.
Why did you want to shoot that gun? Just for the novelty of it?
I want to shoot everything.
Yeah.
You go to the salad bar. You want little tiny corns. I'm going to eat the fennel, all the stuff, jicama.
Nobody wants to come up.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like anything. So I'm shooting this thing, and I would shoot it because it rocks the floor. It's so loud inside a range. You really shouldn't shoot it in a range. You shoot it outside.
Really, it's that fucking loud.
And it is like I could hit a guy at 100 yards right in the center of his head. Like it is so accurate because it's such a long barrel. And then I realized, this is what killed Americans in Vietnam. This was the gun used by Charlie to kill young 19-year-olds sent off to Vietnam.
So they had a single
They had this gun,
They
this
had a
actual
single action bolt, whatever, single
Bolt,
shot,
yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
the fuck. And our guys had M16s.
yeah, and
Wow.
all and flamethrowers and napalm. But this was used by the Vietnamese, the North Vietnamese army, and it struck me for a second because I thought, oh, this is a gun used in war. Like a lot of the guns I shoot are used in self-protection and like, yeah, if you scuffle with someone who's trying to rob you, you fire it near them or you fire it in the air. And a shotgun, everyone I know who has one is there just to make the sound, and then
That before I met my wife, that's how she used to answer the door when she traveled. Like she would drive, so she would take it.
Guns
with her.
are a
And
deterrent.
that's
You
how
know,
she would answer the
they
door.
if you see someone with a gun, you like, okay, goodbye, I'm going to
Sure.
get away. But this was a machine designed to kill Americans.
Well,
People that was being used by people who were not trying to scare us, they were trying to murder people. And I thought, when I was 19, if you flew me to Southeast Asia and this thing was being fired at me, I would be real bummed out. And it kind of cooled me a little bit to guns.
Really? Was
Yeah.
that the last gun you shot?
No. I think I just stopped shooting that one and I started to respect them a little more. Like, yeah, this is a big responsibility. I don't know. I have no opinions of gun control or anything. I don't know what the right answer is, but I felt the importance of this tool. Like this
Gravitas of this.
this could really
Sure.
fuck you up real bad, as it killed a lot of people. Like it opened Kennedy's head, just blew the back of his head off. So I guess now I think, yeah, maybe a little gun control. I don't know. You have to get a license to drive a car, but this thing is protected by.
Sure.
Why not? But I've never seen anybody with the open carry. I've never.
Really?
Yeah.
It is kind of super rare. Like I don't know where the fuck I was the other day, but it was probably a couple weeks ago. But I was in, I don't know, like a 7-Eleven type of establishment or something, and I saw this dude. Like he got out of his car and he clipped his phone to his belt on one side, and he clipped his gun to his belt on the other side, and I was just like, this is a weird time we're living in, man. That's just odd.
They did fight to get them, or there was some law that says you can now have them on state college campuses, right? Isn't that
Sure.
a part of it? You can have an
Well, yeah,
unconcealed-
because I mean, once you pass a law that you can't have a gun on a college campus, then there's a soft target with up to 50,000 kids there, and there's no guns anywhere except for the bad guys.
Right, but I think it was like students and teachers could carry guns.
Sure, yeah, no, that's a free for all.
And there was a murder on UT's campus a couple of days ago. A guy went nuts with a knife and killed a guy.
that was here?
Yeah, and then injured 2 other people. And the back of my mind, I went, where are all those gun
Where's all
loving?
those goddamn
where's
guns
the,
I
where
hear about?
where are the guns?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why are we talking about guns? It's bumming me out.
I don't know, man. You brought it up.
Are you carrying a gun?
No. I left all my guns at home.
Good.
So you might move away. Well, you're definitely moving away from Austin.
Yes.
But you might go back to LA. You might go elsewhere.
Yeah, it's.
And I know there's things you can't talk about, and that's cool.
I
You
don't-
can be as vague as you want, or you can just say pass.
No, I came here.
You came here for a job, or you came here
No.
for your wife's job?
No.
You just came here because...
I
you're-
came here
okay.
because.
You want to get out of LA for a while?
Yeah. You ever been?
No, but I might go next month.
It's a tough place. It's a great place.
I mean, it's tough.
It's tough. It's a
Like-
hard. It's.
Like career-wise, or...
Oh no, that's just soul crushing. That's just to like get out of the airport and get to where you're going.
You're talking about LAX, right? Not Burbank?
Yeah, well,
Or
you should fly.
John
You
Wayne
should
or-
definitely fly into Burbank if you can. I mean, it's a hard city. Like now that I've been out of it for a little bit, I realize
Is it because there's just so many fucking people there?
yes. And I think I'm trying to think of the other big cities I've been in, and they didn't have that hard edge. I think I mean, Hong Kong is an amazing city, and it is the most densely populated city on Earth. I mean, it's like 8
Is it
million
an
people.
island?
It's an island. And then Kowloon is the mainland part where it's like that's the Brooklyn now. That's where like everybody lives because you can't afford to live in. Like this room here would be $5,000.
Just the room?
Just the room. But it didn't have that edge, and I think because people grew up there. There's like a community of people that have been living in Hong Kong. Even I was talking about it before, Houston. Like it didn't have that edge because people are born and raised in Houston.
And so LA is mostly transplants?
It's all transplants. It's all, everyone moves there. So you've got all
Is
these.
New York the same way?
No. New York's got an edge to it, but there are like people, yeah, everybody moves to New York, but there are, in the outer boroughs, there are like, 12th generation, all the immigrants moved there,
Right.
and then they worked in the textile, Jews worked in the textile industry, and their kids went to law school and became lawyers. They went there to get a better life. People
Right.
go to LA because they think they're special, and they're not. So there's a lot of like people still kind of hanging on, and even outside of the entertainment industry, which is only like a tiny part of it, but it's all kind of, it just wears you down, the parade of failure, and everyone's wrapped up in this one little thing, which I think I would imagine Silicon Valley has little glimpses of now, that it's exploding and everyone's moving there.
Oh,
and
it's booming again?
Silicon Valley? Yeah, it's like...
Well, because I know it boomed like in the late 80s or something.
And then it crashed when
Yeah.
the first web crashed, but now it's bigger than ever, and it's
Really?
like the most expensive real estate in America, and the poor there now are making over $100,000 a year. That's low
Jeez,
income.
how do they eat?
Well, you people probably are married with kids and have roommates. Like, I think that's...
Sure.
But it's this one town where, it's a company town. And I don't know why, Houston is different because it's a company town, more than LA, more than Silicon Valley. It is oil.
Right.
And for some reason, people are real pleasant there. There's a mellowness to Texas that it's hard to describe. But I have never met more friendly people in any state.
Go to Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, Texas.
Those motherfuckers are the friendliest people I've ever met.
It's the South.
Sure.
And they're just when you get right up, then it stops right at Florida, and then it just becomes weird. The Florida's like hot New Jersey. It's just like, what the fuck are you? People in New Orleans are so nice. I had my wedding there, and it was like.
It's been almost a year since you got married, or?
No, I got married in December.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
We've been engaged for like 8,000 years.
Right.
But my mom had never been to New Orleans, and just the people are friendly, and they'll talk to you. And
Does your mom still live in Boston?
she's in Boston and in Florida.
Oh, okay.
But walking around, even this part of Austin, people say hello to you when you walk by, and people in LA just they don't speak. They don't, unless you can do something for them. They don't really come up and talk to you. Now there's exceptions to that and what have you, but I had gotten burned out, and my then fiance, girlfriend, whatever, she had never lived outside of Southern California, and
Is that where she was born?
yeah, she was born in Orange County. I said, you should live in another city. Like, if we're gonna run the clock out here and then become old weirdos who live in Palm Springs in the desert.
So she kept the same job?
Yeah, she can work anywhere.
Okay.
And she does have clients here, so it actually helped her career.
Cool.
And she loves it here. It's just, I don't know if it's sustainable for us, but
Right.
she's 6'1", so she's a little on
Really?
the short side for a Texas girl.
She's 6'1", really?
6'1",
Wow.
yeah. And just the friendliness, just the like, there's an attitude here that is definitely California. There's a little more edge to it, I guess, because it's expensive, and people have an inflated self-worth there because it's California. It's the great.
So do you think that everybody in LA is trying to be in the business?
Not anymore. Now it's the business is it's on its one of its last laps.
There, because it's spread out everywhere else.
Yeah.
Vancouver, Atlanta.
I mean,
Dallas.
I don't know what the future of the business is, but like if I was 25, I'd be going to tech. I would be like, let's start a startup. Let's do this. Let's,
Really?
that's the future. So
Okay, so what got you into the business in the first place? Like coming from Boston, I can't imagine you ran into a lot of people from the business, and you're like, I want to be with you guys.
I went to film school and
Where?
in Boston University.
Oh, okay.
And my girlfriend at the time didn't want to leave Boston, so I kind of hung out, and there weren't any jobs. So I was doing like corporate, I'd go film stuff for corporate people, and I was just bored out of my mind.
Like safety videos and shit?
Oh God, I'm trying to remember. Legal videos, industrials, like how to this.
Right. Okay.
Hey, Mel Torme is going to perform in front of a bunch of execs in the oil industry. Go at a hall, go film it. Like I was kind of scraping by, and I said, if you don't go to LA or New York, if you don't go try this, you're going to be 40 and pissed off. So while I still had youth on my side, I drove to California with like $500.
So
And I didn't know anybody.
did you kill the relationship to do that, or?
Yeah, that was kind of, it had run its course. And so I was like, why am I hanging around here? Like there's just,
That's got to be a long drive, man.
yeah, that was
I don't know if you can get much further.
It was about 5-6 days. And I was driving with a friend of mine's girlfriend who was driving back to LA. And she's like, you can stay with me and my sister. And I was like, great, for a couple of weeks, couch surf. And I remember getting there, and it's a tough drive. Like, especially the last part, because you're basically
In the desert, right?
You're in the desert. And I'm in a car with, I don't think I had a stereo or something. Like, I just remember losing my mind. Or I had only
this was your car?
radio. Yeah.
Okay.
I bought like a loaner car at a brake place. I never owned a car before because
Sure.
I grew up in Boston.
And you take the train and...
Yeah, I
Buses.
had a bike, and
Oh, right, sure.
so we pull into LA, and I'll never forget seeing barbed wire around the highway signs, freeway as they call them, to thwart gang guys to go up there and graffiti, put tags up there. Like there's barbed wire around signs. Mm-hmm. Whoa! And we pulled up. And she hugged her sister, who she hadn't seen in a couple weeks, and then she turned to her and said, "Is it okay if Steve stays?"
Oh
I was
my
like,
God!
Oh, I didn't even. Luckily she said yes, and it all worked out. But
Well, it was right in front of you. What could she say?
yeah, so I really didn't go with a plan, which I guess people say, yeah, I don't have a backup plan, but I didn't even have like a plan. And just through a series of dumb luck, and I guess a little bit of skill and a little bit of just not giving up, which is, I think, like 99% of it. Because I think at a certain point they just like, all right, just through some luck and determination, I got stuff. So there's no like amazing story where you're discovered in a coffee shop by so-and-so. It's just like...
So you weren't discovered in a coffee shop by so-and-so?
No, I didn't drink coffee then. You just kind of like hang on, and at a certain point, you arrive with your class. You're the class of whatever year you come. All the idiots move there and
That's
try
how
and break
I feel
in.
about comedians.
Yeah.
Like they're all the same group of people coming up together.
Just like graduating school. And then at a certain point, now that Facebook and LinkedIn is around, I see the ones that have like, yep, I'm done. I'm going to Seattle. I'm going to go be a shrink. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go, I quit. Like I can't.
Are these writers that you're talking about? Producers?
Writer, yeah, just, actors, and a lot of my actor friends hung it up. I think only one, like, made it. One or, yeah, actually.
Kyle?
Kyle Bornheimer and Michaela Watkins. I knew her in college, and now she's like she's starring a Hulu show, and I remember when she moved to town, and she was like a bartender. And now she's on my Hulu, like cool. But I knew tons who they just kind of fade out. But you're putting in those like 10,000 hours that Malcolm Gladwell talks about. So, the new class that comes 10 years after you, they haven't, yeah, sure, there's always I drove to town and 2 weeks later I was on a sitcom. Like, sure. Great, that's awesome. But the majority of that class has to go through the same kind of 10,000 hours. Just some people do it faster. Some people, I remember taking a week off from my day job to write a script to try and get a job on a show. Like that was my vacation. Like there are people that put the hours in, and there are people that half-assed it, and now they're graphic designers.
So were you able to write that script in that week?
Uh-huh.
Did you take writing classes in college, or how did the writing? What made you think you could write?
I didn't. I wanted to be a director, and then I realized you gotta stand around all day, and people ask you questions.
No, you sit in that chair. There's a whole chair for that.
I've never seen it. If a director's sitting, he's not directing, or she, I should say. No, you usually sit there because you're exhausted because you've been standing, and you're like, okay, do this and do that, and then there's like 8 people just standing right out of your periphery, waiting for you as soon as he's done. Hi, what color should the dress be? Red or green? Sure. Green, and then you walk back to that area, and sitting next to you, that chair, I just call them the money people. They can be producers, they can be in TV, it's the network. They got a lot of thoughts. So notes. So I did some directing, and I was like, like shorts for comedy troupes, and I'm trying to remember what else I did. It was something on TV, but it was like a little short that they cut into, and I remember losing my mind trying to shoot this scene and trying to, you're not trying to be an artist, you're trying to make your day. You have like all these things you want to do, and
because funds are limited and you've got a schedule you have to.
Yeah. And I just remember losing my mind, probably because it was low budget and I didn't have enough. I don't think I had a first AD. Like I was handling everything on top of like, great, do it again, but bigger and louder, and try this and turn this way. And like an assistant cameraman came up to me and he said, I'm a vegan and there's mayonnaise on my avocado sandwich. And I started to deal with his problem, because it was just like another problem. It was like it wasn't going to end up on the screen.
I really feel like that's not the director's.
Right, and he should have been fired, but...
Oh, then you get sued for firing him because he's vegan.
You get fired because I don't want to work with you, but then we don't have a focus puller for the back half of the day. And I started to deal with it, and it was years later that I was working on a show, and a showrunner dude was in a similar conundrum. He was stressed out of his mind, and there's a million things going on. What do they say? A lot of moving parts. And somebody like somebody in the crew came up to him, because when you start a show, you announce yourself, you say hello to everyone, gather around, hi, I'm so and so, we're doing this, blah 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 blah. I'm at the tip of the spear.
I'm in charge, come to me.
Not so much, just like the buck stops with me.
Okay.
And someone came up and asked about per diem, which is, it's $100 you get a day when you're shooting out of town. And he turned, it was like somebody on the crew, and he turned to him and said, who are you asking? And that has been my catchphrase ever since, because you're not being a dick. You're not saying, are you really asking me about the $100 you need for dinner? Like, go ask. There's a whole production team. There's departments. He's at the tip of the spear, and it put it back into the crew guy's head. Like, yeah, who am I asking? You're not the one. You're, network people and creative things and money going out the window, and I don't need to worry about a key grip not getting his little envelope with a $100 bill in it. And I've always taken that and taught it to others, because it was as it was taught to me. Who are you asking? And then just walk away. And they go, yeah, I shouldn't be asking that guy. He's not the dude. But I just didn't like. I didn't like directing. It's plumbing. It's not. It's one of the least creative parts of it, which I found shocking, because you study all these auteurs, and then you realize they're like 0.5% of directing, and the rest is just get shot, get this shot, keep the crew moving, don't stack your days, don't blah 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 blah. It was like, it wasn't as creative as I thought. And when you write on a show, you're also there in post, and I found that I liked sitting with editors. I liked it's just you and someone else and the raw footage, and you're making something, rather than 50 guys walking around in shorts carrying, pipes and hanging lights and yelling weird, give me a C-47 and give me a spinner, and it's just, I just didn't like it. So I gravitated towards that, and then I did some, I guess they call it like soft scripted stuff. Like, it's like real people, but they need to be guided through a narrative where they're kind of told what to do, but they're
reality shows.
I guess that's they call it soft scripted now.
Okay.
But I was at the beginning of that on some show, and I found it fascinating and also frustrating, which is, I think, the most fun when you're working. Because I'm like, is this just a documentary about these?
So soft scripted is always real people?
Yeah, they don't want to pay actors, but they would pay.
So not like Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's
ironically, the show I was on was intermingled with Curb. Like, our production offices were next to each other. I would hear them. I'd hear that song every day, and it was a similar process. They were making a great show. We were making crap, but they had a 1.5-page outline that became a TV show. We had about a 1.5-page outline that became a TV show, and I would go in and watch this editor cut Curbs, and they would do like 90, 100 takes. They would just, They would write it on the set.
Right.
And we would go shoot with some people, and we'd shoot for an hour, and then like, try this and say that, and what about this? And you know what? I'll ask her the question, and we'll cut you in. We would try all kinds of things, and it would be edited down to a minute scene. So it was like a similar process. And it was, I don't know, it was kind of new. It was, like I said, worked on a sitcom, and I found that kind of boring, because it's like, it's just making sausages, and so I found this form kind of interesting, because it was
unique. It was new, right? Ish?
Well, and I'm not one of those writer dudes that, like, Aaron Sorkin, you don't change a word he says. Right. Not that I'm comparing myself to him, but I like the spontaneity of the moment.
You're going for the feel, not necessarily the...
Yeah, I liked what Curb was doing. I liked that they just kind of find it there. And so this was kind of in that vein, It was... I get bored really easily, so
sounds like it.
Yeah.
I got bored with directing. You got bored with writing on TV shows.
Well, and then...
A sitcom, sorry.
You're on one or two that are popular, and then you can sell pilots, and, I wrote for this teen network off of this teen show and that, and then I don't know, I got kind of, as the tech revolution that we're in hit, I just got disillusioned, because I feel like, and I'm sure people listening who are listening on a podcast now, they're not on the radio anymore. Like, the whole world kind of shifted this paradigm, and the TV business was not shifting. Except for Netflix, except for a few who were like, oh, I see what the future is. Binging, Mm-hmm. I don't know how people watch network television anymore.
So you don't watch any network television?
Also, moving out of Los Angeles, I cut the cord.
Okay.
Not because I'm cheap.
Right.
Partially because I'm cheap, but I wanted to see what it was like without
Well,
TV.
you are Jewish.
Yes. Well, that's a stereotype, and that's semi-racist. Only half Jewish. I just want to see what it would be like without TV. And we have Netflix and Amazon Prime and
Hulu.
Yeah, it's like,
I mean,
you
there's plenty to watch on those things.
yeah, and I watch network now, and it just feels so old. It feels like 10 years ago.
Really?
I just watched Goliath on Amazon
I
Prime.
loved it.
Really?
I absolutely loved it.
I'll have to keep watching it. I didn't like the pilot.
Well, that's really surprising since, you know, how they do their shows is they make pilot. Well, back then they'd make pilots and they'd let you pick,
Yeah.
I don't know, 4 out of 5 or some shit like that. But I was intrigued to watch the pilot just because it's him.
He's great. It's not
He is
it's
great.
not an indictment of him. The writing felt like something from the 90s.
Well, I feel like they must have added or switched out some writers or something because the rest of the show, like, it's all one arc.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. I can't wait for the next one.
Okay.
I can't wait for season 2.
It's David E. Kelly, and he's the 90s. He's
Mhm.
Ally McBeal and Boston
Yeah.
Legal, and like, it just, yeah, they say fuck, and there's some nudity in it, but it still felt like a procedural legal show from the mid-90s. Like the structure of it, and there was a little clunky narrative-wise, and I don't know,
You're probably a bigger critic because you're a writer.
I also just watched The Patriot on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I haven't watched that.
It's out to lunch. It
Really?
is. He's like a CIA fixer who's also a folk singer.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
A fixer, like he kills people for the CIA, but he's a folk singer.
He's a folk singer?
Yeah.
Is he work in Austin?
It's pretty out there, and it's this intricate plot that has all these points of entry that you'll just see something happen in the background in one episode, and 4 episodes later, it'll all be paid off with some huge, piece of the puzzle. It was just, I've never seen anything quite like it. And then to go to Goliath, which felt kind of by the numbers.
So that was a good review of The Patriot?
Oh, I loved it.
Okay.
It was a little.
Because you said it was out to lunch, and I wasn't sure if that was a good.
I mean, it's
well,
just,
I
had never seen anything like it.
Okay.
It was.
Well, I'll
I
check it
never
out.
knew what was going to happen next. Because here's the thing, Goliath, he's an alcoholic lawyer.
What?
Who used to be at a big firm, but he was disgraced, which is the movie The Verdict, but that's fine, steal from whatever.
Sure.
And his ex-wife is at the firm,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a huge case that's taking that firm on. Like, it's all just lined up so perfectly. Now, I don't know what happens, so I'm not gonna shit on it. And I didn't dislike it. I think Billy Bob Thornton was great. It just kind of, as we like to say, like, it's kind of small world. Like, it's all, oh, your wife happens to work at the law firm that you're
Right.
about to, that fired
How
you.
convenient.
Yeah, well, all the pieces are all lined up, and they're all going to make for a great tapestry. But I think that's part of why I left, because one of the last things I sold was a show about the dark web and hacker,
Silk Road.
yeah, the Silk Road thing. And
Did anything happen with that?
they paid me, and I wrote it, and they went thumbs down. Like, I remember the young guy that I pitched it to, he loved it, he got it. It's basically Mr. Robot.
And then he took it back to the Notes Brigade, and they said, "Fuck off."
A woman came on to run the company who had run Comedy Central and run Dennis Leary's company.
Mm-hmm.
She had been in the kind of, she'd been in the show.
So is it one of those situations where the new person comes in and says, "I'm getting rid of all that old shit from that other guy"?
Less that and more, they had to pay me. And
Sure.
so she through her proxy wanted it to be a cop using ex-black hats to bust crimes, which is basically CSI cyber. Like, they wanted a procedural cop show with kids at computers. Like, no,
That doesn't sound much like the Silk Road.
no. You know, and I went, well, this is not going to work. And then Mr. Robot happened, and I went, that's what I pitched, and you guys got it. And then
Mr. Robot was so good.
It's amazing.
Well, the first season.
I didn't get through the second season.
Second season was less good.
So I, you know, just tired and wanted to eat breakfast tacos and wanted to get out of Los Angeles.
That reminds me, I got you something, but I left it at home, so I'll just have to mail it to you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Is it a breakfast taco?
It is a breakfast taco.
I wouldn't mail it. I would FedEx that.
So really, they don't have breakfast tacos in LA?
They do, and they suck.
Really?
There's one place opened by an Austonian who I'm sure moved there to be a actor and then didn't work out, and she opened up a place called Home State. Home State? Yeah. And they do breakfast tacos, and there's a line out the door.
Really?
And they're $3 each.
God. Well, everything's more expensive in LA.
And they're not very good.
Really?
Your guys' breakfast tacos are,
On point. Oh, and they're so good.
yeah.
It's my favorite thing about Texas food is breakfast tacos.
LA is more of a burrito town. They have breakfast burritos everywhere.
Oh, I've heard the Nerdist. Those motherfuckers are all about burritos.
I love me a burrito. I'm not going to deny it, but there's something like breakfast tacos. Oh, good. We can stop talking about TV. I'm so happy. Are kind of like the tapas.
Oh, I have one more question about TV, but after
All
the
right.
taco thing.
You can try a bunch of things, and I am a cactus man. I had no idea.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called nopalitas.
Nopalitas.
Right?
I think so. Eggs and cactus. Ooh,
I haven't had that.
I love it.
Yeah. What's
And-
your favorite taco place?
Oh, some trailer in a gas station.
I think I passed it on the way here.
There are no good ones up here. It's in South Austin, and it's the best.
Really?
And also, they don't put cheese on tacos, which I'm 100% behind. There's no cheese on a taco.
Sure.
It's a street food. There's no refrigeration out in the street. So,
Sure.
yeah, you guys got some good tacos here. Meh with the Mexican food in Austin.
Really? Well, it's all white people.
Yeah, it's white Mexican.
You should have Mexican food in San Antonio.
I think I did when I went down there, and it was.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was
You
good.
went downtown, right? Or I remember you were like, "Hey, what is some shit to do?" And I was like, "I don't know." That was super helpful.
I ate twice in San Antonio. It was good.
Good. Good to hear.
Yeah. So what's your second question about television?
My
Will you read
question
my
is-
script?
My question about television is, how come you're so vague always in every interview or every whatever I've heard you speak? You're super vague, like you don't ever name anything you've ever done or been on or written for.
I think because I don't. It's probably why I left. It's not really that interesting, at least to me.
Right.
Like, do you want to see a list of the credits? Wrote on Just Shoot Me. I mean, who cares? Like, I guess to some people it's exciting, but
it just seemed like you're purposefully cryptic about. It almost feels like, well, they're not paying me to talk about their show, so I'm not going to talk about their show.
I guess that's part of it, and there's a part of me. When I was real young, I worked for this British actor Gary Oldman, and I remember him having this similar attitude. Like it was kind of uncouth to talk about what you did and what you were. When I worked.
Yeah, but
on,
he's British. They're way cooler.
Maybe I'm a little British. I don't know.
Cool.
I'm not a self-promoter, which is probably part of the reason why I'm here. I find it distasteful when people, unless I was like, hey, I have a new show and I want to come and talk to you about it to promote it on a podcast. But just as like I don't know. I hear people on podcasts doing it, and I'm like, you fucking blowhard. Like, it's so. I don't know. I mean, do people even watch TV anymore? Everyone's staring at Twitter. Like, it's that, or I'm just not like. I'm not super excited about the credits, and I don't know.
If it was Breaking Bad, would you be saying Breaking Bad?
I probably not, because
I don't get the impression that you would, no matter what it was.
it's everyone has a job and you do it, and nothing is more fun when you meet somebody at a bar and like, what do you do? And they tell, I build ladders for what's a ladder company?
Warner.
And I go there and I inspect the stress joints, and I'm like, I don't really care about ladders.
Gotcha.
I'm a dentist. Like, I don't. Okay. I will name drop and tell a story, because I was with a writer, showrunner friend in Las Vegas, and he literally ran into John Stamos, who he created a show for, and we just got swooped up into this night with John Stamos. And
that must have been fucking amazing. I feel like that guy's life is a party.
What's this? Who's the roast comic? What's this? Jeff Ross. All these TV stars were there. They went to go see Full House guy do comedy. I forgot his. I'm blanking on his name. And I'm at a casino with this guy from Indiana, and
what the fuck is his name? I know it's Danny Tanner on.
No, the
Full
stand up.
Yeah, the guy who's filthy before he got Full House.
That's how much I remember.
Fuck. What was
So we get the limo, and we hang out with them, we go backstage. We see a comedy show. We're with all these semi-luminaries.
Wait, was it Stamos' birthday?
No, he was there as a part of that guy's show.
Okay.
Like, he came out on stage and they sang a song.
Cool.
And I spent the night talking to my buddy's brother, who was in town from Indiana. He didn't leave. And he's one of them used car salesman dudes who owns a bunch of lots, and he does those commercials, and he would have the big crazy event to get everybody there. Everyone gets a Christmas tree who shows up, a week before. And I spent the whole night just peppering him with questions like, how much money do you make per car? What's the
He
margin?
answered all these questions?
He was
so...
And he turned to me at one point and he said, why do you want to talk to me about this? Look at all these famous people here. And I said, they're not interested. They don't do anything. Or I'm around it and I've met enough famous people who, I did Weekend at Bernie's guy. Jonathan Silverman was there, and he was telling me about some movie he was doing in Florida that I'm sure no one's ever seen or heard of, because what is Jonathan Silverman? He was doing what Hollywood people do, and all I wanted to do was talk to this guy about selling used cars in Indiana. I just thought it was, I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm a little embarrassed because it's show business. And it means nothing, and often I can't. I was just doing my credits. I had to sit down and you work on little things, and then it's like, write down all the pilots you did. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about a bunch. So it's just work, and by talking about your show, that's what I love about Facebook, which I'm off, by the way. I got writer, actor, producer friend. Hey, watch my episode of blah 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 to 300 friends. Like, you need 3 million people to get some traction with that. Like, people are telling their friends to watch a show, but I don't know. I'm not good at self-promoting, and I just don't really care. I love to talk.
No, sure, absolutely.
And yeah, I've done some real crap. Sometimes you just need money. Mm-hmm. So a hidden camera show with celebrities on Oxygen. I don't even remember what they ended up calling it.
On Oxygen, the channel.
Yeah.
Not Oxygen, the gas.
No. It was like, hey, we need a, can you want to write on this thing? Like, okay. What's the rate? So, yeah, it's like I'm not an A-lister, so some actor that's, I did an episode of this Canadian cop show. Like, what show? It just feels a little a little wonky unless it's Breaking Bad. And I'm trying to remember who I met who is doing something really good, and they didn't bring it up.
Really?
And I think I had to go like, I know who you are. Like you're killing it with whatever it was. Like there's a. I mean, I have a friend back in LA who runs The Simpsons. He is the executive producer, showrunner of The Simpsons. He never talks about it because he's also been there for 15 years, right. And it's a job.
I'm sure.
He's very wealthy, and I guess The Simpsons are still kind of a thing, but
they signed on for another 2 seasons.
Yeah, it still makes money, but it's long past its prime.
I stopped watching The Simpsons probably in maybe year 4.
I went over to watch an episode he wrote. He invited us over, and his kids were there, and they were like, "When is Bob's Burgers on?" They don't like The Simpsons.
Right.
It's just like
it's
a
Dad at work. Nobody gives a shit about Dad's work.
And he and I, we sit around and we talk about food because he's really into food. So, I think I kind of follow that model. He's one of them Ivy League writer nerds, and there's a kind of like...
He's a whiff and poof?
No, I think he went to UPenn. Maybe Harvard, I don't know. There's like a little bit of a... We don't talk about...
That's work. Let's not talk about work.
I mean, I loved when people come up to me on the street when Laguna Beach was at its height, and they're like, "I cannot wait for next week's episode. I am addicted to your show." I was like, "That's awesome." It's just a job. I'm making gobs of money, and I go in and complain all day long. But I was happy that people watched it, enjoyed it, and it sucked, but it was an experience. So.
If you weren't doing this, like if you weren't in the business, what do you think you'd be doing? Besides clearly traveling the world.
I think it would have ended up in food because I recall trying to, in the early days, I'd sold a feature. I don't even, and I'm always like, I guess I'm coy about it because I'm worried.
You sold a feature in the early days?
In the early, like in the 90s. No. It was 2001. To Maverick, which is Madonna's company, who sucked. And I remember they didn't pay me. They owed me money, and I was trying to develop an animated show for them about the food world, like food television.
An animated show about
the food world? Which would make sense now. Then they were like, I don't know, like
right.
It's
a goddamn animation boom right now.
Right. But I was very into the food world, and I was very, ahead of the now norm, which is the food culture. The people, I didn't photograph food, but I loved the creativity that goes on in kitchens now, which is another reason why I kind of left, because TV has gotten very formulaic and very, aside from the Netflixes and the Hulus, there's, what are there, like 5 Chicago shows, like
oh my God.
Fire,
I was
Chicago.
just talking to my son about that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a sausage factory. And then yet I go out to eat, and there's just like unbridled creativity. People like, I'm going to take this style and mix it with this and put it, and serve it on top of a thing with gas. I'm like, there's so much going on at a price point that the average person can afford. Mm-hmm. It's not. When I was young and broke, it was French cuisine. It was fancy waiters with sauces over proteins. But now it's like a food truck. It can be creative. A guy that makes Philly cheesesteaks that are authentic. Has the bread
Malik.
shipped in. What's that one?
Malik Rose. Malik Rose was a San Antonio Spur.
Oh yeah.
From Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And he has it used to be a freestanding place, but now I think it's a food truck, but it looks more like a food bus. It's fucking huge. It's called Malik's Philly's Famous.
I'll have to try that.
It's in San Antonio.
Yeah, I think we're in like a golden age of food. And I think it would be fun working in a restaurant. That's because I've only, I worked
It's hard.
I worked in an Uno's in college. That's not a restaurant.
I don't know that.
Yeah, it's really hard. Uno's Pizza, like that deep dish, Chicago, whatever. Sucked.
San Antonio.
But I think I think I would have been happier doing that.
It is a lot of fun, but it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I was in food for, I don't know, probably 15 years
Where?
in San Antonio.
No, I mean like front of house, back of house.
Oh, I was always back of the house. Always.
It's hot.
It is hot. It's fun though. And my son, he's a chef.
Oh, cool.
He went to Le Cordon Bleu up here at the Domain.
Yeah. Just went to it. It's amazing.
When you just went to what, the Domain?
The Domain.
Yeah. So Le Cordon Bleu used to be there, and apparently, like either last year or the year before, they just fucking got out of America.
Really?
There's no more Le Cordon Bleus in America. I'm not sure what happened, but he got his diploma before they split. So that was cool. But I mean, food is hard.
Everything's hard. What's easy?
Yeah. Well, that's a good one.
Both my parents were teachers, and my dad taught college till the day he retired. And he said, "Do whatever you want with your life, but don't teach."
Really?
And I'm like, okay. And he didn't have any passion for it, and my mom stopped teaching. I mean, I guess at one point that was a pretty easy. If you get tenure as a professor, you're set for life. You
But now
publish.
all the students are assholes. There's no authority anymore in a class.
I think you gotta, if you have passion for something, the hard work gets pushed to the side. And your son, if he went to he's a chef at a restaurant. He's probably, I've met a lot of young, mostly males. I don't know why. Women, young like teen girls don't seem as into cooking, in my experience, my sphere of influence.
I worked in kitchens for probably 15 years, like I said, and in all those years, in all those different various styles of restaurants, I probably only saw, I don't know, maybe 10 ladies, but they were all like middle-aged ladies. I never saw anybody younger than 40 in the kitchen.
It's like a second career. It's like I got to get out. I got to get out of finance.
Right. It's like no, it's not like that. It's not finance.
Whatever. Actually, no. I knew somebody I went to college with was working in finance in New York, and she flipped out and said, "I got to go." I think she teaches cooking and has like a little shop in Brooklyn and caters, and it's hard work, but I know I'm super stressed at whatever job I'm on is by how much I'm cooking at home.
Oh, really?
How much
is that your
that's my
your refuge?
That's I mean, it used to be I was really into music and playing music, and then
what did you play?
I played guitar, and then I was in some bands, and I think we played some shows, and I went, this is a lot of work for not a lot of money.
Right.
And then, of course, I went to film school, and
what kind of things do you cook?
Oh, what did I just make?
I don't know. I wasn't here.
Shanghai soup dumplings, which
Okay.
were real hard to make. I mean, time consuming. Duck confit. I got the sous vide machine. I'm cooking with that.
Oh, really?
All that. Yeah, sitting right there in the kitchen. I'm trying to. I like to experiment. I don't know. I got a few things that are like my go-to, but I'm really into figuring out how to make vegetables jump off the plate, just taste really good. Because you get a bunch of fat wrapped around a muscle, it's pretty hard to fuck up.
Right.
Put a lot of salt on it, it's delicious. But, asparagus can be a difficult, plant to cook with. But I don't have like a particular cuisine that...
Does your wife cook?
Yes, but I do...
More of it?
It's more relaxing for me. It's more... I mean, it has a great outcome because we get to eat and I get, oh, this is really good. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Um,
It's gratifying.
Well, the sous vide is a great example because when I got it a few years ago, people said, is there like a cookbook? Is there like the joy of cooking for the sous vide? I said, no, just go on the internet. Like everyone is cooking and experimenting and then uploading their results and aggregating it. And I've never bought a cookbook since I got the sous vide. I just go online and there are fellow cookers, exchanging ideas, temperatures, times, and technique, and it's awesome. It's like kind of inspiring. I literally go, like, there's a subreddit I subscribe to, and I just look at people's sous vides, and I'm like, oh, that looks good. What's time temp on that? And, you know, how do I make that? So you don't really do that with cookbooks. You kind of like, well, I want to make this dish. This is like that. A cookbook is processed through one writer or one chef, and this is like aggregating earth, you know, all these different people. So it's not just the food that is exciting, but it's this exciting time of the ease of exchange of ideas. And then, yeah, it would be nice to be like what's his name? The guy that goes around the world and eats food and is an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
On CNN or whatever.
Yeah. Anthony Bourdain.
Bourdain.
Yeah. Like, I would imagine you'd be a chef for a while, and then you're like, great, I want a TV show where I can just pretend to be a chef for a quick scene, and then...
Do you watch any Food Network?
I don't, because I cut the cord, but I was a huge Alton Brown fan, because he was kind of like hacks and stuff.
That guy, he went to film school, and he was a cameraman or a cinematographer, and then he was filming cooking shows, and then was like, I can do this better. That guy is amazing. I think he turned into an asshole.
Yes.
But
he's got the right arc. Like, don't do it yourself. Mm-hmm. Basically, what he did. He's a Steadicam operator, and like, all right, I can move the camera around and make this exciting, because usually it was just a person cooking on a set, and then some angles looking down at the food, and it was boring. And he put the camera in the fridge, and he would move the camera around, and he made
the oven. He does
like
crazy shit.
Yeah, he's a little hacky with his jokes, and if you knew what the budgets were, you'd be just amazed that he got anything done. But I learned he was like on the frontier of like edutainment. Like I would learn something, and I wouldn't feel like I'm reading a book.
Right. That Good Eats series was very, I would say, educational. I mean, it was so... He would explain, like, for instance, he explained when you're cutting a steak or any kind of meat, he explained which way to cut it as far as the grain and why. And he had all these props and...
he would get a bunch of foam and like, you're cutting the cell this way and it'll affect the flavor. Like, it was a real good deep dive on a subject, and it was presented in such a fun way. My wife hated it because she didn't like his jokes, and I'm like, his jokes suck. Like, don't.
Sure, he's hacky.
But he's the guy that taught me about sous vide, and he was years ahead of the commercial or the at-home models they have now. And there's still, every now and then I go, oh yeah, I remember that was on an episode of, you know, how to sharpen knives and stuff like that. Like, it is actually sticky, which I kind of am in awe of. But I'd love to just travel the world and, hey, we're here in Shanghai and we're going to go get the best dumplings, and then
why don't you do that?
Because I'd like someone to pay me to do that.
No. I mean,
I do that.
When you travel?
I don't know what the angle is. I don't know. I guess I should. I take pictures of it.
You travel all the fucking time.
Yeah,
you always have that. It's a camera and a video camera and a recording device. I mean, why not? It doesn't have to be fucking big budget Hollywood style.
No, I would prefer it that kind of DIY.
Have
I don't know.
YouTube channel or whatever the fuck, and just put your shit up.
I saw this great YouTube channel where these guys they're in Baltimore, and they go to the lowest rated hotels on Yelp or Travelocity. I don't know what it's called. It's about 10 minutes, and there's like condoms. They do a thing with the black light where you can see where there's blood and semen.
Other things, sure.
Oh, I think that would be fun to go. I like to go to some like the worst, dirtiest, awfulest restaurants.
Yeah, but then you could get sick.
Now you're watching the show. Like, is he gonna throw up? Is he really
gonna eat that?
Is it diarrhea or vomit? I don't know. What's gonna happen when that's
commitment.
I don't know. I think when I travel, I want to be Then that feels like work. I don't know. Maybe I should. I did. When I went to Paris the first time with my lady, I did keep a food journal. Which I was like, oh, I'm going to translate this and put it on a blog. And then I went, no one cares. I don't know. That's a good idea. Or a cooking show or something. Food is something I could just, much more than television, I could just talk about for hours. Because it's...
On another podcast that I'm a part of, we had, I guess it was 2 weeks ago. It came out last week. We had Jason Dady. He was one of the guys that was on Iron Chef Gauntlet in San Antonio. He let us come to one of his restaurants and chat him up for an hour. Super cool, innovative dude. He's about to open a new restaurant in a space downtown on the river in San Antonio that used to be a John Besh restaurant. And it closed down or whatever, so he's about to open this just massive 2-story in a hotel on the river.
Oh, in that industrial hotel, that one that was a brewery? No, not that one.
Like the Pearl?
Yeah.
No, this was it's like the Embassy Suites or something, but it was John Besh's Luke.
Yeah. Oh, I love John Besh.
Yeah, so now it's going to be Jason Dady's Range, which is going to be it's going to be a steakhouse, but not the steakhouse that you're thinking of. Those were his words.
Okay.
He's like, not a steakhouse like everybody imagines a steakhouse. It's going to be a little different.
I hate those.
A little bit different? You hate that?
No, I hate just traditional
just
steakhouses.
Ruth Chris and all that?
It's not good. I love steak. You're paying for the guy to wear a tuxedo and the leather back booth.
You're paying for that guy to not come back and ask me if I need another drink.
Exactly. Yeah, I like more. I like things. Where did my mom go with when my wife was in Boston? Italy.
Oh, in New York?
There's one in Boston now.
Really?
Yeah.
We ate in Italy last weekend.
In New York.
Yeah. Across from the Flatiron Building.
Madison Square Park. There's one in New York now, and
it's fucking huge. Have you been there?
One in New York. Yes, I loved it. Yeah, it's great.
It's like fucking 7 restaurants in there or something.
Yeah, it's like Coachella for food. Like it's like all these different tents, and you're like. And my mom went with my wife, who was working in town, and she's like, I like her. She likes Fleming's, where you sit down and someone takes care of you and brings you a giant plate with food. I've even gone out to dinner with my dad, not that long ago, and he still doesn't understand the shared plate, which I feel like. I've been so into tapas and so into shared plates for so many years. I feel embarrassed when the waiter is like, have you all dined with us before? I'm like, no. Well, it's shared plates. We suggest you order. Like, yeah, I know that price point means it's 2 scallops. Like, I know that's not a plate of scallops. Like, $7. You're not gonna get a lot of scallops. So I get it. And then just watching my dad like order something and like reaching over, he's like, what are you doing? I'm eating some of your food, dude. Like, that's... No, I ordered the salmon. That's my salmon. Like, no, it's the table salmon. Old people don't like new and different. So my mom, I didn't like it. I like to sit at a steakhouse and have someone take care of me and like a big...
How old are your parents?
70, and my dad is 80. Okay. He was married before my mom.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's a good idea. I should just come up with a food show and fire it off on the...
I mean, why not? What do you got to lose?
All respect, self-respect has been
really?
Been shuttled. It's all gone. No, you're working TV. You have no respect for yourself. It's just inspiration, and also I think I was circling the point. I didn't quite get to it because I was talking about music. And then I worked in radio, and it ruined music for me. Television and film have been ruined by working in it. Like, food is the last thing that I absolutely love, and I think if I worked in it, it would ruin it.
No, if you get paid for it, it'll ruin it. Just do it as a hobby.
Just
okay. Put it up.
So a show, but not like, I'm not working on a Food Network,
right?
Food porn thing.
Just do your own thing.
Yeah, I just enjoy.
I mean, the tech is there.
Yeah. It is what relaxes me. I do come home when I'm stressed, and I just really like to
Come home.
see.
So there's a place that you go to work every day?
I finished up a contract at a production company a month and a half ago. So I was in an office 50 hours a week, which was causing me stress. So I would come home and, all right, I'm going to make this duck leg perfectly and make sure it's seasoned right. And so no, I'm working from home now. So I go out and then walk back in. Oh, I'm home.
Gotcha.
It's a tough day today.
You take Nugget out and then you come back in.
Take the
you're
old
like,
dog
oh,
out.
Oh,
And,
my gosh.
oh, it was a tough day out there. I had to walk almost 2 blocks.
And this heat. It's 93 degrees when I got here, man.
Christ.
It's hot.
Yeah, I think we learned some stuff about me. I don't like to talk about show business because it's silly, and I like to cook. Makes me happy. That's why I get along with Marty, because he I think he's the same way. He doesn't.
Marty, you.
He's worse than I am because Marty, you. Even my friend Kyle. I'm watching Westworld, the pilot, and I'm like, my friend is in it. How come I didn't know this? How come?
How are you watching it? HBO Go or something?
Yeah, we have
Gotcha.
HBO.
Gotcha.
I'm not trying to be one of those guys like I don't watch TV. I didn't want to pay $150.
It's fucking crazy how expensive cable is.
It's changing with the slim bundles.
Sure. But now all this a la carte shit. I mean, like you said, you can watch your friend on HBO, and you don't have to have all the cable.
I don't watch network television. I don't find it. Well, and you can watch it on apps now, like or it ends up on Hulu or
Netflix.
Yeah, like it's not like Friends. Everyone had to see it on
ER or whatever.
Well, they always talk about like we need water cooler shows. We need shows that everyone has to watch, and the next day at work is talking about. I'm like, that's gone. Everyone's watching. Have you watched?
There's
have you
also
seen?
not a water cooler anymore.
I know.
So.
Everyone brings a little bottle and sits in those little metal things with a carabiner. It is weird because having been in that world where it is water cooler, like it is. I remember being on the lot and Seinfeld was still being filmed at CBS Radford, and like that was everybody watched it Thursday. So Friday you were like, did you see Seinfeld? And the new season of House of Cards is out. I haven't watched it, but people on the internet are talking about it, so I'm like putting blinders on because I don't want to ruin it.
It just came out like last week, right?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Okay.
But it's not. And I listened to an interview with Matthew Weiner of Mad Men, which I thought was fantastic. One of the best shows. And he didn't like binging culture. He said, no, it's better if it's every week and you develop an appreciation for it. And I was like, I completely disagree.
I think that it's just different. Back then it was cool, it was great. Now we've moved on to something else, and it's just as good. The binging.
I think the audience wants control. Like they want. How can you remember what happened? I'm watching American Gods, and it comes out every week, and I'm like, I want to watch 2. I don't. So, I think for shows that I really like, I wait till like 5 build up.
Right.
Which
what we do.
That's what everybody does. But that's because we want, like, oh, I need to watch the next one. I want to get into like a rhythm with it, and I don't know. I mean, I think we came out of the TiVo culture or DVR culture, and now it's just, I don't know.
Well, I know that you kind of have a heart out here, and I appreciate you sitting down with me.
Sure, it was fun.
Thank you again,
Pleasure.
Steve Krueger, and I want to thank you to our sponsor, Stars. Just kidding.
Watch American Gods; it's really good.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
All right, take it easy.
Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2014 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is Apollo from the 2001 album Into the Known by the band Sapphire. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting to know a little bit about our guest. We'll see you next time on Fascination Street.